The year is 70 AD. Roman soldiers are outside the walls. Inside, a nation is about to be shattered, and what happens in the next few days will force this people to reinvent everything they are. For almost 1,200 years, there was a building that held everything together, the Second Temple in Jerusalem. It wasn't just a building, it was the center, the heart, the proof that God was present. People came from everywhere to worship here, to sacrifice, to feel connected to something larger than themselves. But in 66 AD, something changes. A young Jewish rebel refuses to bow to Roman authority. His name is lost to history. But his defiance sets off a chain reaction. Other rebels join him. They kick out the Roman garrison. They seize the temple. For a moment, just a moment, they think they can win. But this created a new problem. Rome doesn't tolerate rebellion. The Roman general Vespasian arrives with 60,000 soldiers. He's not here to negotiate. He's here to crush. City after city falls, massacres, crucifixions, entire populations erased. For 4 years, the Romans march closer to Jerusalem, and inside the city, something worse than the Romans is happening. 3 different Jewish factions are fighting each other, not the Romans. They're fighting each other. The Zealots, the Sadducees, the moderates, they're destroying the city from inside, burning food supplies, killing their own. A man named Josephus, a priest, a historian, watches in horror as his own people tear themselves apart. We're committing suicide, he realizes too late. By the time the Romans reach the gates, Jerusalem is already dying. The siege lasts 18 months, not weeks, months. Inside the walls, 600,000 people trapped, growing fewer every day. Hunger becomes the real killer. People eat grass, leather, anything. Parents watch their children starve. A woman named Mary, Josephus records this, kills her own son for food, then realizes what she's done. But the city still won't surrender. In the summer of 70 AD, Roman soldiers breach the outer wall. They pour into the city. The last defenders fall back to the temple, the last stronghold. For days they fight, but on the 9th day of Av, a date that will haunt Jewish memory forever, the temple catches fire. Not by command, in the chaos of battle, flames spread. The Romans watch it burn. Josephus is there. He sees everything. He records it. The whole area was engulfed in flame, and in those flames, everything changes. When the smoke clears, the temple is gone, destroyed completely. Thousands are dead, tens of thousands. The survivors are enslaved or scattered. But here's what shocks people. Rome doesn't just destroy a building, they destroy a system. For 1,200 years, being Jewish meant going to the temple, offering sacrifices, seeing the priests perform rituals. All of that is gone in one day. And a priest named Josephus asks the question everyone is thinking: how do we stay Jewish without the temple? For the first time in over 1,000 years, there is no center, no single place where all Jews go, no shared physical location that defines them. They're scattered across the Roman Empire, Egypt, Syria, North Africa, eventually Greece and Rome itself. Communities are cut off from each other. They speak different languages, live under different laws, face different pressures, and Rome makes sure they never unite again. But something unexpected happens in this moment of total loss, something that will prove stronger than any temple. A man named Yochanan ben Zakkai realizes something crucial. He's an old rabbi, a teacher. While the temple is still burning, while Romans are still killing, he sneaks out of Jerusalem. He goes to a small town called Yavne. And there, he gathers students. He gathers them with the sole purpose of studying. He says, the temple is gone, but the Torah, the law, the words, the teachings, those we can carry anywhere. This is the pivot moment. The center doesn't move to a new place, it moves to a text. Yochanan and other rabbis begin collecting the oral traditions that have been passed down for centuries. They argue about what the laws mean. They debate interpretations. They preserve disagreements alongside conclusions. This becomes the Mishnah, a massive collection of Jewish law and wisdom. But here's what's radical. It's not handed down from on high. It's discussed. Questions are preserved. Different opinions coexist. Argument itself becomes sacred. Because now, a Jew in Egypt can study the same text as a Jew in Babylon, in Rome, anywhere. No one needs the temple anymore. Anyone can learn. Anyone can teach. Well, almost anyone. In practice, formal rabbinic training required years of study under established teachers, a rigorous apprenticeship that few could afford or access. And women? They were excluded almost entirely from this world of textual learning. The promise of portable knowledge was real, but it belonged mainly to men with the time and resources to master it. The next 300 years are brutal. More expulsions, more migrations, communities destroyed and rebuilt in new places, but each time they're displaced, they carry the same texts with them. A merchant in Alexandria, a physician in Baghdad, a trader in Rome, all studying the same words, all arguing about the same laws. In 500 AD, the work is completed. The Talmud, a massive commentary on commentary, debate upon debate, more than 2,000 pages. It's so large, so complex that you need teachers to explain it. So communities gather around rabbis, around schools, around learning itself. In 1096, something terrible happens. Crusaders marching to the Holy Land pass through the Rhineland, Germany. They decide, why fight Muslims in Jerusalem when there are infidels right here? In the city of Mainz, a mob of crusaders surrounds the Jewish quarter. The community has a choice, to convert or to die. A man named Yishak ben Mir leads them. He's a rabbi, a scholar, a teacher. Instead of fleeing, he stands in the synagogue and prays. Families link arms. They sing hymns. They don't run. When the mob enters, they find them singing. Over 1,000 people are killed. The sacred scrolls are thrown into the fire. But, and this matters, the ones who escape don't give up the tradition. They migrate east, to Poland, to safer lands, and they keep studying. For the next 400 years, Jews in Christian Europe are confined to separate districts, ghettos, crowded, poor, enclosed. In Venice, they're locked inside at night. Walls surround them. They can't own land or join guilds. But inside these ghettos, life happens. Synagogues, schools, markets, weddings, births. A girl named Glückel, her diary survives, writes about her life in a Frankfurt ghetto in the 1600s. We were poor, she writes, but we had each other. We had our books. We had our customs. She raised children, traded goods, and wrote down memories so her descendants would remember. The walls couldn't destroy what was inside. Then something unexpected happens. The Enlightenment arrives. New ideas about rights, freedom, equality before the law. In some countries, walls come down, ghettos are dismantled. For the first time in centuries, Jews can enter universities, become doctors, lawyers, join professions. A man named Moses Mendelssohn, a brilliant philosopher, writes works about reason, faith, and society. He becomes famous, respected, accepted. But here's the trap. As they're welcomed into society, they have to choose. Assimilate completely, give up tradition, or hold on to identity while participating in the modern world? Different people choose differently. In 1894, Paris, a French military officer named Alfred Dreyfus is accused of selling secrets to Germany. He's arrested, tried. The evidence is thin. But Dreyfus is Jewish, and that's enough. Newspaper headlines scream, "The Jew Traitor," Jewish conspiracy. The trial becomes a national scandal. Society splits, supporters versus accusers. A journalist named Émile Zola publishes an open letter, J'accuse, translating I accuse. The truth eventually emerges. Dreyfus is innocent. The real traitor is found. He's pardoned. But the case reveals something terrifying. Legal equality doesn't mean social acceptance. Even in an enlightened nation, prejudice doesn't disappear. It just changes form. From religious to racial, from doctrine to conspiracy theory. While Western Europe debated Dreyfus, Eastern Europe was already burning. In the Russian Empire, pogroms, organized massacres erupt repeatedly. 1881, 1882, 1903, entire villages attacked, families slaughtered. The Tsar's police sometimes participate. A young woman named Bertha Kaplan watches her family's home burn. She's 16. She gets on a ship to America with nothing but memories and determination. Millions make the same journey. Between 1880 and 1920, 2 million Jews flee Eastern Europe. They stream into America, Argentina, Palestine, anywhere that might offer safety. But here's the question haunting them all. If we keep running, will we ever be safe? A new idea spreads like wildfire. We can't wait for acceptance. We need sovereignty, a land, a state, a place that's ours. This movement, Zionism, is born from desperation, not from conquest. It's born from centuries of, we have nowhere to go. Then comes 1933. Hitler rises to power. For the first time, anti-Semitism becomes state policy. What follows is beyond previous horrors, systematic, industrial, total. Millions are murdered, entire communities vanish, centers of learning burned, libraries destroyed. A girl named Anne Frank hides in an attic in Amsterdam, writing in a diary. "I want to be useful and bring joy to all those around me," she writes, even as death closes in. By 1945, 6 million are gone. But there are survivors, and their survival demands something, a place where this never happens again. In 1948, after 2,000 years, something unprecedented happens. The State of Israel is declared. Jews have a land, a government, a flag. It's not the end of the story. It's a new chapter with new conflicts, new challenges, but it's theirs. But here's what matters. Even before Israel existed, the survival mechanism was already in place. The Talmud, the schools, the tradition of argument and learning, these things kept the people alive when the temple fell, when they were scattered, when they were hunted. Today, Jewish communities exist everywhere: North America, Europe, South America, Australia, the Middle East, Asia. Some are religious, some are secular, most are something in between. They speak different languages, live different lives, but certain threads remain constant. A tradition of study and debate, a commitment to education, a shared memory of survival, and a question that never quite disappears. Who are we? Not because of borders, not because of blood alone, but because of memory, because of text, because of choosing, generation after generation, to keep the story alive. 2,000 years without a single homeland, a people without territory, and yet, somehow, they were never lost. Because identity, it turns out, doesn't depend on maps. It depends on words, on learning, on the decision to survive. And sometimes, on memory alone.